I can go like this only.
Whoa.
पूछो ना सवाल.
Okay, so King of Kotha and पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत स्वागत. This is सिमरन सिंह here from DNA. दुलकर, आपसे मिलके दोबारा मिलके बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
Same. Always happy to see you again.
Okay, so मेरा सवाल पहले आपसे यही बनता है कि जो आपका कैरेक्टर, this is the first time you're playing such a massy character. So जब भी हम कोई गैंगस्टर रोल प्ले करते हैं, so we have these seeds या जहाँ से हम एनर्जी चैनलाइज करते हैं, we have some references कहीं ना कहीं. जैसे हम बात करें बचपन में भी हम आईने के आगे खड़े होकर ऐसे स्टाइल मारते रहे. You know, we used to say this dialogue to get into the character, to get into the skin of that character. What was your reference point? Yeah, what was it that you actually channelized? That king of Kotha.
I think it's got a very deep-rooted story in the film, and I think in being in period and in arriving at my look and my clothes and everything, I think somewhere I kind of understood the essence of Raju. A lot of the body language in this is not anything I would usually do, and I'm extremely calm and patient as a human. But Raju is very volatile. He's very, just impulsive. He explodes very violently. So that is something I had to really dig deep to find. I know a lot of the shots we went in slightly longer takes, so I could just be in that because you can't suddenly arrive at that in a quick cut. But a lot of the times I think it's just in the writing, and I try mostly to find something original because I feel like every time you use a reference point, you will have those influences, which is not a bad thing, but I think my goal is always to kind of surprise myself and the audience. So a lot of these things that I was trying, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. So that's the gamble, right? Like when you do a scene a certain way, and I had the freedom. My director gave me the freedom to try things, and then I'll go and I'm like, how's the playback? Does that thing work? Even this hand thing that I was doing, I was like, is that working? So a lot of it, I think, is like trial and error. But it was just great. This past year has been so interesting in terms of deviations from characters. I think from Ram and Danny and Arjun and Raju, they're all different men. And if I can not appear as myself, not appear as DQ or whatever people see me as, and only appear as these characters, I think that is what I strive for.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hi, Dulquer. Straight. Hi, I'm Aishwarya Lekshmi from the Free Press Journal. My question to you is, earlier in May when Tobino was down in Mumbai for the special screening of 2018, he mentioned a very crucial point about the Malayalam film industry. Like, unlike the other languages down south, there is still, not a outstanding pan-Indian Malayalam film that has made that kind of noise, like say a Pushpa from like a Pushpa or an RRR or a KGF in comparison. Do you think, as a producer and more importantly as someone who is presenting King of Kotha on a pan-Indian screen, do you see that change happening?
I think, especially post COVID and the advent of OTT, I think now if you want to draw people to the theatres, you have to offer a theatrical experience. There has to be some kind of spectacle. Like, people, I think, need that value for their money, right? They need entertainment on a larger scale. So Malayalam always having been very much more like budget focused. I think we were always a little wary of going bigger. But I think this whole lockdown and people watching our cinema is kind of making us now a familiar face across. So now I think we all have a lot more courage to push that. And I think in my journey, very organically working in all these industries, now I feel like I can dub my films and bring it to audiences everywhere. So with this, we pushed as much as we could in terms of budget and scale. We went all out. It's my most expensive film to date. It's the biggest film we've produced as a company. And I think the goal is to give it that big spectacle, that theatrical experience. And what I think is beautiful now in India is we're all discovering so much more about each other, so much of our stories, so much of our culture, like our micro-cultures. Like if you, like Kantara, I think had that beauty of that exactly, which is not familiar to people, say maybe up north or maybe in the northeast. It's so far away from them. So I love that we are telling rooted stories from each of our like places, and then getting that to spread as much as possible. So that is the goal. It isn't like when we say we don't have those big pan-Indian films. I think certain stories lend themselves to that. Some are maybe smaller, and the thing is the audience is spoiled for choice. You have films from everywhere, and so if you're gonna penetrate in that manner, you have to kind of come a little big. You have to make a lot of noise. So I think the goal when we started this film was to try and make it as big an experience as possible, and I think this is something that hopefully we can push those boundaries with.
Hi. Hi, this is Abhishek. Firstly, congratulations for two things. One is you completing 11 years in the industry. Also, your two back-to-back releases. So we are happy and lucky to see you on screen. मेरा सवाल है आपसे हिंदी में कि आपने कहीं कहा है कि आप खुद को स्क्रीन पर देखना नहीं पसंद करते या नर्वस रहते हो. तो अभी दो बैक-टू-बैक पिक्चरें आ रही है. एक वेब सीरीज है और एक बिग स्क्रीन रिलीज है. तो आप इसे कैसे देखते हैं?
जी, मैं अभी यही सोच रहा था कि ये पहली बार ये ट्रेलर मैं बिग स्क्रीन पे देख रहा हूँ. और अभी क्या हो रहा है, लाइक ये लोग ठीक है, मैं ठीक कर रहा हूँ. So all that is there, but I think the my intent is to keep doing well and kind of convince you guys that I am this character and perform that role to the best of my ability. So I think अभी 11 साल हो चुके हैं, तो थोड़ा little more like used to seeing myself, but I'm very bad at revisiting my films. I think वो रिलीज के वक्त 2-3 बार हम सब मिलके देखते हैं. Then after some time, I'm just like, no. Because I think most of us actors have that. अरे ये scene में ऐसा भी कर सकता था. It could have been approached different way. Maybe I should have done this. A lot of the times, I think for me, I don't know about the others, but हम जब scenes perform करते हैं, obviously directors tell us certain things and हम भी improvise करते हैं. पर जब हम shoot खत्म करके जब हम room या घर जाते हैं, तभी उसी वक्त एक idea आ जाता है, like अरे मैं ऐसा कर सकता था उसी में. Weirdly these things happen later. So I think when we watch ourselves on screen, I'm like, I should have done that. That happens, but I think it comes from the passion towards it. But yeah, I think I'm getting a little more used to it.
But Mammootty sir is exactly opposite of you.
I don't know if he'll say he loves watching himself on screen, but I know that he now revisits his old films, like from the 80s. I see him sometimes in his room. If I walk in, he'll be just like on YouTube watching a very old film of his. I think he's also reminiscing those times, reminiscing those memories of how they made that film. And he's like, today I might not play this character like that. So I think it is important to do that. But yeah, I should revisit my stuff more.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi all, this is Atulya from Midday. My question is for you, Aishwarya. Ever since Maya Nadi, what made you say yes to King of Kotha?
I couldn't understand the scale of it, and I understood that is that it's going to be a huge film. The story, whatever I understood, I did. But the first day I was on set, it was huge. It was like 4 acres of land where they have built buildings, a town, a temple, a pond, a lot of things. The pond was already there, okay. A lot of things were built, and it was all, it was all made to feel very genuine. And I've worked in a lot of Malayalam films, none of this scale. For me, this was a new experience, and I always like to work with newer technicians, newer directors. For example, they give us different points every time I work. I take something from one director and I use it for my next film. So with Abhilash, I wouldn't understand. We'll be doing one take some 3-4 times. I wouldn't understand what changed he wanted. So it will be so minute. But then once I go back and I discuss, he'll tell me how it fits into the entirety of a film and stuff like that. So I hold those discussions close to my heart. I feel it would help me in my next film, in my upcoming films. But to answer your question, the story and as well as the scale of the film, I couldn't understand it, but I knew it was something big.
Dulquer, I have a question for you as well. How has the association been to bring this film to a larger audience?
It's been great. Actually, I've earlier been a little wary of big studios, because sometimes there's so many departments, and sometimes there's no ownership of the film. Like every department will keep the decision making keeps getting pushed around. But my experience with Z has been fab. Like they've really been true partners. They've been with us through the entire journey of making the film, even in edit, and now in post. A lot of our marketing is entirely them. I give them full credit. They're really passionate and they understand cinema. And they make so many films a year, like 40, 50 films a year across languages. To see them give a film so much time and attention, it's been a wonderful experience, and I think Wayfarer will happily associate with them in the future also.
Hi, Sekta here, if you all can see me. Hi, this is Mayur here from Beyond Bollywood. Firstly, warm welcome to all of you. I think Dulquer, and but really happy to have Aishwarya. I've had the pleasure of seeing a couple of your films apart from Kotha Salman. There was this brilliant film on Netflix. Kumar, that's what's the name. Dulquer, firstly, obviously, I'm a journalist, I'm also a film critic. And मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आज आप मुझे चुप नहीं कराओगे. And मैंने आपकी फिल्म को 3 स्टार दी थे, वो genuine थे, कोई बिना डर के नहीं थे. So firstly, obviously, looking at the title and in the age of pan India, I am obviously born and brought up in Mumbai, but my primary language is Hindi. And I would say especially the northern and the Hindi belt. The moment I see this title, so how important firstly it is for you guys to tell them it is King of Kotha and not the usual Hindi pronunciation.
So it's in the film Kotha, in Malayalam it's Kotha. It's a fictional town. Such a town doesn't exist. So we needed to create a fictional town, so it was named that name. It had to be a bit of a lawless land. So I think that's the reason to come up with a fictional town. But the thing is, I didn't want to change the name across languages. I wanted it to be one film. And in a way, it's interesting because there is a little discussion about how to say the name. So I think any kind of conversation, any kind of chatter about a film helps the film in some way. Like there is conversations happening. So I think in the trailer, when I'm dubbing the film in each language I have to kind of say the name a little differently because Kotha in Telugu means new. In Tamil, it could sound a bit like abuse. So, in Hindi, so I remember like Rajkumar during Guns, he's like, King of Kotha? Like Kotha? I was like, no. It's not that. So we've kind of arrived at Kotha. But I think it is important, like I said, I think we should have one title. And being rooted in whichever language the film is conceived in, I think we should try and make that travel. But I think people quickly get used to it. I think in the first 5 minutes of the film, when you talk about the town, I think that gets registered, and I think this will go out of your mind and you'll get into the story.
Okay. And one more question, Dulquer, for you, obviously. Based on the trailer, obviously, it seems like it could be perhaps 80s or a 90s setting, and where obviously the region loves football. So I wanted to ask you, obviously there's the great Diego Maradona, but how much of a football fan are you, and whether it's a national, international team or a club team, which ones are your favorite?
So in all honesty, I don't watch a lot of sport. I'm sorry to disappoint the fans because in Kerala it's like religion, but I'm very bad at lying. For some reason, I played it in school, but I'm very bad at tuning into television for some reason. I don't fix time, something's playing out. I think my whole life I've struggled with it. I've tried to set reminders, alarms, I'm very bad at that. But because it's so unique, I think, to Kerala, and especially North Kerala, there's so many of these sevens football tournaments, and they bring in players from different parts of the world even. That's another interesting microculture that we have. There's been a lovely film made on it called Sudani from Nigeria. So I think that was one of the reasons maybe the writer wanted to include it. And I think it's a nice detail about both these characters that they're football fanatics, and they have it's there in the film and all. But yeah, I have to admit I don't really watch a lot of sport.
No problem.
To add to that, just to say, Shabir sir, your experience? Yeah, नहीं football खेला, थोड़ा सा खेला, camera बंद हुआ, अभी pack up. How was it? What were you people up to? Tell us.
It was fun. I would say that this production Z and Wayfarers have spoiled me. I don't know, next Malayalam movie, I don't know how they want to do it. So yeah, it was fun. I mean, every time, he's always taking care of his actors and the crew and all that. And the first time I met him in the set, there was lull silence. We were in the car, the first look which came. I was like, okay, how do I break the silence? Then I was looking forward, and there was Avilash, the director, walking across. I was just thinking, oh, that's his childhood friend, right? Then he, out of nowhere, says, I know him from like we are chuddy buddies, and ever since that there's been like banter. Every time I have something happening, I can always go to him and talk to him. With Aishwarya also, she's always bubbly in the set. Whenever I see her, she's like, "Hi, how are you?" I was like, "How does she have so much energy?" And the whole set was fun, and that I think comes from the captain, which again. DQS and yeah, it was fun to answer your question. I had a jolly good time there.
Right. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, please.
Hi, Pooja Navath here from Awesome TV.